Welcome to Horrifically Well Read, Blood and Said. Super excited to have another Rebecca on the podcast with us tonight. We are collecting Rebeccas and double A's. So tonight we have the author of Negative Images, Rebecca Schier-Akamelu. Schier-Akamelu. Did I say that correctly the second time?
Yeah,
We'll edit that middle part out.
Rebecca, what? I think it's funny.
Oh,
It's,
okay,
it's
alright.
relatable.
Is it? Okay, I
it's
It's
like it.
very relatable. I get it all the
like
time.
there's no way with a name like that it doesn't happen. So
I mean,
Sheer.
it happens with my name, and I'm Adam Allen, so,
Right.
it's like
Yeah, exactly. So we are really thrilled to have you, Rebecca.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to chat with you guys tonight.
Me too, because let me tell you, we have some deliciousness to get into with your book tonight. Um, I am more than happy to tell the listeners what I think it's about and give the pitch for it. But, or if you want to, you can do that, whichever one you feel more comfortable with.
I mean, I'd like to hear what she has to say and how you pitch it because it is such an original premise, twist on ghosts. I'd love to hear how you sell it.
See, I didn't
Gosh,
pressure
yeah.
you. I let you have your choice.
Absolutely not.
Gosh, well, this is good practice for me because I feel like sometimes it's like a big concept that I had, and I'm trying to like get it down to one or two sentences.
Right.
But essentially, this book is about people coming back from the dead. Not everybody's coming back, just some people, and they're coming back to the person that they were closest to in life and using all of your most intimate shared memories to torment you, essentially. So, my main character, Anita, loses her husband very suddenly. And so she's trying to figure out how to get rid of him. There's not a lot of information out there about like what these things are. Is there a cure? And then there's, some groups that come up and they have kind of an extreme idea to isolate people. So there's a societal horror aspect in there as well.
Yes.
Mm. Yeah. So I guess that's how I'd pitch it.
Yeah, I think you did an awesome job. Really awesome job. It's definitely an original take on Ghost. It's like for all intents and purposes, it looks very similar to her husband or whoever you want to, the ghost that's coming back, except the eyes are completely blacked out. And
Yeah.
they call them negative images. And it's like from the societal impact, it's like, well, you have a negative image following you,
Mhm.
like, and they don't stay all the time, they kinda come and go, but they scare the shit out of people when they
Yeah.
do show up.
Well, yeah, and I wanna, get into lots of specific details, but the first thing when I first okay, I don't know if you've seen this, but they have, reissued The Exorcist with this new cover,
The green cover.
and
Ooh.
it's a little girl laughing, but she has completely blacked out eyes, and
That's what you were envisioning?
that is what I was envisioning, and there's something about that that just,
It's incredibly
turns
disturbing.
yeah, it turns that person into something that's really scary, so,
Yes.
great job for that. Just that
Yes.
little detail is so scary. I don't
Yes.
know if that's something that you'd seen somewhere or you were just like, "How am I going to let someone know this is not just, this person or, that person that's alive," or whatever you wanna say. How did you envision that?
Yeah, so I mean, I wanted some physical aspects of them to let people know, like, oh, this is a negative image. This isn't this person. And I kind of went with the eyes because, that's such a big way that we communicate is, our eyes express so much. So if you take that away and you just have this black hole essentially that you're looking into, like, it's just, I figured it would be unnerving.
Yeah, because if the eyes are the window to the soul and these are black, then, okay, this person's soulless, this isn't my person, but it looks like my person, it sounds like my person, and the fact that when you said she loses her husband suddenly, like, this negative image appears really early, like, within 4 days of the grieving process, to just come and just taunt and fuck with her,
Yeah.
which is even worse, right?
Well, it's this horrible thing because, there's some part of you that probably when you lose this person, you're like, "I would wanna do is see them again." And then suddenly you
Exactly.
do, and it's the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
Right. Right, right, and then just, at the beginning of the book, he's just like, "You're not even happy to see me."
No, yeah. The
You
gaslighting and
you were not even thinking of me when I was dying.
yeah,
You're just sitting in the hospital room thinking about how, and it's just like the cruelest things that you'd ever wanna hear too, right? And, so would love to hear where that concept came from of just the, I don't know, I would say, like, it's the worst experience that you could imagine for,
a
someone coming
grieving
back,
person, yeah.
yeah, from the
Yeah, I mean, that's I feel like it's so hard to, like, explain. Like, the whole idea behind negative images, I would say, is really driven by anxiety.
I don't know anything about that. No, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. So, I had taken
Kidding.
so true.
yeah, so I had taken, like, a writing workshop, and they encouraged us to, like, work off of, like, some things that we were actually afraid of, and I guess one of my bigger fears is, like, people not liking me, and so I kind of took that and just kind of was like, well, it'd be even worse if it was somebody who you thought certainly loved you, and then you find out that they have all of these horrible, awful thoughts. And so the term negative image was just extremely literal because from the moment that they show up, like they're just bringing up like your bad qualities, what they don't like about you, how they wish you would have done things differently. And it's designed to get in there and hurt deeply. So that's kind of where that came from.
That's amazing, and I think that the other thing, our lead character that ends up having a negative image, however, the first time she experiences one is somebody else's, and I think that the other thing that this book does is that only the person sort of being haunted hears that person speaking. Everyone else hears this horrific, like, screeching, like,
Static or
staticky
yeah.
sound that is just when you describe it, I think of, like, reading the book, I wanted to put my hand over my ears? And so that is such a fascinating thing too, that you are completely alone in hearing these things and knowing what this person is saying about you.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just another way where the negative image is really trying to isolate that person because, like, if nobody else is hearing it, they have very little sympathy for the person experiencing it, right? Like, they're just like, "Oh my gosh, my ears are hurting. Get out of my face, like, go somewhere else. I don't wanna deal with this." So I thought that was kind of, like, I don't know, an interesting thing to kind of play with too when I was writing this.
Yeah, I'm just, like, thinking about a person I know that their child had incurred a traumatic brain injury, and they didn't know if their child was gonna live, and when they woke up, like, I guess it's normal to have really mean things said, but as, like, they were coming awake again, and they were like, "Oh, mommy, there you are, you always taught me how to hate myself."
Oh my
And
god.
I'm thinking, like, that's very similar to, like, a negative image where it's like, what a horrible thing to have to hear, and, where you're just so excited this person has lived, and I was just thinking about that experience of, these people, they're married, or the other character you're doing is, like, engaged, and, that person's fiancé passed, just some of the most, and just, fathers of, the most precious relationships of, like you said, you find out actually there wasn't any love or how much you had disappointed the person in life. And even the sweetest memories and images are now going to be, attacked and covered by these negative images. So a lot of psychological warfare there.
Yeah, it ended up being a lot heavier than I thought it would be when I started writing it, and that's the stakes get really high for the people with negative images as, like, their mental health kind of deteriorates, and I don't know, I didn't really want it to be quite so heavy, but it felt like I couldn't back off because it would be doing a disservice to the work, if that makes
Right,
sense.
right. Personally, I didn't feel like it was, like, too heavy. I felt like, you really kept the pace in the book going. I mean, then when people are like, "Ugh, how do I get into a book sometimes?" Or, you know I lose interest. I don't think you can with this book because even though you're dealing with some things that as a person, you can imagine, "I'd never wanna hear these things," or, "I don't wanna," I wouldn't wanna have this attached to me. You keep the book paced in a way that you're just like, "Okay, what the hell are they gonna do to fix this?" And I think it is balanced enough with curiosity, cadence of just the flow. I didn't when I was reading it, I wasn't, like, depressed or anything at all.
Okay, that's good.
I
Like,
also
at
feel
all.
like
Yeah.
obviously there's been things in the past that have happened, where we see this sort of because one of the major, like, themes going on here is sort of like a mass, like, I don't know, that sort of like group, like, hysteria and group, like, thinking and things like that. And, this book, it came out in July of last year, right?
Right.
And it's just like, are you looking at it now where you're like, there's a lot of prescience
There's
here?
a lot, and I'm like, "Yeah, I can't wait to hear. Tell us."
Because it's like it's very I was talking about this with my Rebecca here, saying about how much I loved it and the things I loved about it, and I love that it kinda has almost, like you said, to cure them of it, this negative image is it's almost like a disease, right? It's like these people are contracting it, and so there's, like, this double idea of, like, viral, like, it's almost like a virus they have, but then also, obviously, images of them are all over the internet where it's very viral in that way too, and I just think that that's such a fascinating thing to explore, and I love that it's this huge, like, whole society thing going on, but then it's also intimate on the specific characters that we're seeing too.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate hearing that.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna basically say what Adam was, just saying, like, I love how you played with scale of, okay, there's this entire social application and, things are popping up all over the country, that this is happening to
In the
people.
world, yeah.
Right. But then at the same time, it's so specific and intimate at the same time. So I thought that was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really weird, like, writing it because it took me a really long time. I mean, I think I started drafting this in, like, 2018. So,
Whoa!
like
Yeah, that's why I thought it said 7 or 8 years in the back of the book.
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of life happened during
Yeah,
those 7, 8 years,
yeah,
you know?
no kidding.
Yeah, like, around the world and, like,
Yeah,
me personally, like, we went from 2 kids to 3, all that sort of thing.
mhm,
So, I mean, it was really weird to be writing it, and, like, I had the first draft almost done when the pandemic hit, and then I was just like, "Wow." And I kinda, leaned into that a bit, just the idea of, like, going into quarantine and because I remember, like, in early days of COVID, like, God, people were so mean, like, if you were ill and you didn't know it and you got somebody else sick, and so there was just so much fear, a lot of decisions being made out of fear, and so I wanted to bring some of that in, and now it's out and I'm, watching everything that's happening, and I'm just like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening right now where I'm like, gosh, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I blame you personally. I mean, it's creepy though. Like it's almost like you're doing the whole like Octavia Butler forecasting of shit because I mean the way that you dig into, the social commentary on, I wanted to just take a moment to explain some of that where, you're getting mixed reactions from people that at first, the main character Anita is like, she sees this and she recognizes, that someone has one and she's not exactly sure what that is. And then but she's in the hospital room waiting to see what happens with her husband, and people just start kind of discussing it, and the news are discussing it. And it's initially people are like, well, that person must be a really bad person in order to have a negative image. Like, these people wouldn't have this happen to them if they didn't deserve it in some capacity. They
mm,
must have done something fucked up in some
mhm,
way to deserve this and to earn it. And even later on in the book, like a little bit later on, it's like, um, the one of the male main leads is trying to do something nice for his negative image and just try to, like, honor them, and the vitriol coming from the family and the friends of, like, some people are like, "Well, I think he's trying to do a nice job," and the other ones are like, "It doesn't fucking matter." She like, just so pointed and angry, and it's like as if, in death, maybe there are times that people think these things at a funeral and whatnot, and they kinda keep it quiet or maybe to themselves, it's a private thing, but then now that there's this negative image there that's following them around, it's almost like it gives people permission to actively judge, and they deserve it, right? It's like this public, like the way that the stocks were used, or, something to
Right.
embarrass someone, it's completely okay to shun these people.
Yeah, because I think, and we see that too, like with just any type of victim blaming, I think. It's like once you've decided that it's that person's fault that they brought this upon themselves, you just start to look through their history and it's like, okay, you did that wrong, you did this wrong. Like it just doesn't really stop. It's like, and I think once, a few people start saying these things, then other people feel like they can join in and it
Yeah.
just kind of snowballs.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and it makes you realize, like, at least for me in reading it, I was like, "Wow, society is really not safe," and, like, people that you think are like, "Okay, well," just the similarities in opinions, but also the vast range and differences of how something can be perceived. And some people have compassion. Some people are like, I don't understand, or, I wouldn't know because I'm not in that position. But the other ones are just, it's just so much, judgment. And I love how you kind of play with that with the male main character,
'Cause it
where
started out so
he starts out
judgmental,
so
yeah.
judgmental, and then all of a sudden he ends up
mhm.
with a negative image, and it's like, well, so now what do you think?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, I noticed that this is, like, completely gonna seem like it's off course, I promise. But it isn't. Uh, so our exchange student is 17, and last night she ordered sushi for herself, and she was laughing because she ordered so much sushi that they gave her 3 pairs of chopsticks in the bag. And she's like, "Girl, it's all just for me. Like, I don't know why they said other chopsticks," right? And I, like, came down later after recording and I was like, "Okay, so did you eat all?" She's like, "Yeah, I ate all of it." And I was like, "Okay, great." I was like, "What's it like to just be able to eat anything that you want?" And she's like, "It's pretty great." And she's like, "I don't even know what a calorie is. Like, I don't even care." And I was like,
Wow.
"That's so awesome." And I genuinely am happy for her for that. And she doesn't exercise or anything. And I said, like, in my younger childhood self is like, thinking, or not childhood, but like young adult self or even current self, whatever, is like, wow, body types really are just so different. Like, she didn't do anything
And
that she
genetic, like, it's
that's
not
what I mean. She
yeah,
didn't
based
do
on yeah,
anything to do anything
deserve
right
or
or to do
yeah.
anything wrong. And she's like,
Mhm.
well, it's really my dad. Like, it's just the way that I'm built. And I was like, well, when your parents come to visit, make sure you let them know I don't have the body style that you do. But my point is I think for years being a plus size person, or, on the higher end of the, like a 16, 18, it's it's always been like, "Why are you so lazy?" and "Why
Mhm.
didn't you eat this?" and "Why aren't you exercising?" And I'm over here, like,
I'm
doing
working
all
my
the
ass
things that
off,
I can
yeah.
right. And I was never able to eat that. Even at 17, I wasn't able to eat
Mhm.
those ways. And I just I don't know, I guess it was this eye-opening of right before, and in tandem of reading this book of, like, we make so many shitty judgments even
Moral
for
judgments on
on
something that's
people.
not a moral
It isn't,
issue,
Yeah.
yeah.
exactly. And the same thing with, like, um, even when people would be like, "Well, if you just wouldn't be adding the avocado, having
Ugh.
avocado toast, you could be saving for a house."
Yeah.
It's like, "Fuck you." But it's like, until you have someone that's on a platform that actually says, like, "Do you know how wrong your thinking is?" Or, "Do
Mhm.
you understand why this is messed up?" And it's so easy that if you only, and I'm even like, when people are stitching things right now for people's takes on things, of like, I run a social media account. I don't owe you shit. You do follow me for soup recipes, and I'm not saying anything, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And at first you're like, okay, you can see how some people are gonna gravitate to that, and then you have someone stitch it and they provide this other, like, completely opposite argument, and you're like, God, thank God someone's rational out here. But, if someone's not open-mindedly looking for that and they're looking for the vitriol to tag onto, it's just gonna stick.
Yeah.
And I think it's just
Yeah.
that's part of human nature to just be so myopic in our
Mhm.
thinking. And I don't know if that's out of self-preservation, or like we wanna think badly about people, or think that we're just so fucking smart that we can judge I don't know, but I really feel like you captured human behavior in this, of just the nastiness that can come out and the helplessness of, "I swear I didn't do anything."
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I spent probably way too much time online just reading comments on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm just like, oh boy.
And then after that, you spend a lot of money in therapy. But what was that like of just like a whiplash of how can you be reading such different things? Like, what, tell us a little more what that experience was like.
Were you just looking at, like, just anything, like, just get an idea of, like, on anything that could be, like, a divisive issue, seeing, like, what kinda comments are like, how that discourse goes?
Yeah, I mean, I kinda just, like, I don't know, I think I would just read the comments really about anything.
Mhm.
And, sometimes it's like, big issues, and other times it's like what hair dye you use and what chemicals might be in it. And like you're doing something bad to your body if you do this. And you think supplements work. They don't. You're stupid. Like it just was so,
Yeah. There
it's just about anything. And people just have like such confidence, I think, when they can
yes.
hide online and they can just say that stuff, you know?
I love how you said that there was a line in your book and you go, main character, female characters reading it. She's like, "Oh my god, they would never say that to us in real life."
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, you're right though. It's those keyboard warriors or whatever, and
Yeah, it makes me think I was watching I think it was, like I was just watching some delightful, like, puppy spa video,
huh?
and it was, like, wonderful, and then the comments like, "That's actually really bad for their paws. You shouldn't do that." And I'm like, "Wow." Like, really? Like, this puppy is, like, clearly enjoying themselves. So that just
Yeah.
makes me think of what you're saying where it can be anything and
It's
someone wants to
really
come in.
actually not good to have your baby giggling.
Yeah.
Like, you really shouldn't do that.
Baby shouldn't laugh until 3 months. This is not good for them. It's like
No, but I mean, it was crazy because, it's like even when, I was speaking of, like, hair, like, I've watched a couple of these hair videos and you'll see, like, professional hairstylists here, like, "I think you did a really good job with this," like, for at-home products, like, really good, and then you'll see the other people that are not professional and they're like, it's gonna really fry your hair," and it's
yeah.
just like, I
Right.
don't know, it's like, no one asked for your
My cousin's best friend's wife's sister used this, and it really didn't turn out
yeah.
so great.
I
Well,
know, it's like nobody asked you, and why
yeah,
do you think you have
yeah.
such authority?
Where do we become this and I think it's all part of this, like, individualistic society or, like, the, how do we okay, this was speaking of, like, 2020 because we used to go to church a lot before 2020, and then we just, like, kinda stopped altogether, and our whole view towards religion and everything really shifted, but before that, we were talking about I remember there being, like, a sermon on like, the real God is yourself these days. It's like the morality
Mm,
and the philosophy and everything was like, it's the viewpoint of me and what makes it and it's like, it's really difficult to even have, like, moral philosophy and be guided by certain things now because, I don't know, there's some shift, and Adam, I feel like you've even noticed that, like you've talked about with kids,
Mm,
just they're when we're saying like, "Oh, man, someone would never say that to you in real life." It's like, but the way that you talk about the kids that are coming up in school, it's like, I think they might now. I think they're gonna start
yeah.
saying it.
it's almost like a troll culture that is now, like, infected reality, like, face-to-face interactions, yeah.
It's like it's okay to
Yeah.
say it, and there's no processing time or no filter of, "You're taking this too far." Like, there's no decorum.
Yeah, it's scary. It really is, and, like, I don't know, like, how exactly we got here, like, I don't know if it can be undone, but, like, yeah, it worries me for, like, the next, like, couple decades just to see what that'll be like.
Absolutely, and I think that's where, like, reading horror, gaining empathy, and I think even for my part as a parent, as you're saying with, you having 3 kids, is not stepping in and letting some natural consequences happen, you know?
Right.
Like last night, the girls took it a little too far, and the one my youngest got mad at the exchange student, and she got, like, really mad, and it was very uncomfortable, and I was like, "You need to say you're sorry for that," and she was kinda like, "Okay, why?" And, like, just didn't well, then she came back today and was like, "I really did take it too far
Mm,
last night," and I was like,
that's good to hear.
"I'm really glad you shared that." I'm like, "Are you gonna tell Francesca?" And she's like, "No." Okay, we're halfway there, damn it,
Yeah,
so we're gonna
you
keep working
recognize
on
it,
it, but it's
yeah.
like it gave me some hope, but I was like, there has to be accountability for these things of like, you can't just say certain things to people. But yeah, so speaking of like friendships and treating your neighbors decently and society, I love how at some point, before we even get to halfway in the book, they find out, surprise, surprise, that somebody in the space of the internet has decided that they're going to really own this concept and start creating a database on, and please report your neighbors and your friends, sort of like see something, say something, let's tattle.
Right.
And so there's a list of people that have potential negative images, and then there's ones that have confirmed negative images, and then it goes even as far to say, are you friends with someone? Here's a supporter of someone that is suffering with
Mhm,
it, but it's not really, because that's the perspective, right? It's like this is a bad person that employs someone that has a negative image,
mhm,
not they're just someone actually trying to help this person through this horrific fucking experience. So it's like let's include them in the, and just some of the comments that you put in there of like, God, why can't they leave this area? Why don't they move away? Don't they know that there's kids in this neighborhood? Why should they have to see this? And it's just it brings it all back to this vitriol, negative, all about me and what's best for, and not having any of that, I guess just overall just general compassion
mhm.
for human beings. I mean, you really nailed the it was like, "Oh god, I don't wanna read this because it's so real."
Right, yeah, I mean, thank you, but yeah, I mean, I hate it that, like, things like that are people like that are out there, like, it definitely applies to other situations, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's crazy because, like, it's not like they don't it's not like it all happened one day and everyone that has one immediately. Like, so these
Right.
people that are saying this, it's like they're so sure that they're not gonna get one, right? You know?
Exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
like, tomorrow something could happen and you could have somebody with you. And it's like,
Boy, there's no parallels to that right now.
right, and it's like,
No, not at all.
so it's crazy, to see that, and it's like, "No, I'm going to say these things," and, to talk about that person that Rebecca's referring to here, this sort of, like, social media person, I really love the way that you have essentially, this guy is nothing really special, right, at the beginning, yet somehow
Right.
he becomes this, like, he's the demagogue, the, like, one that everyone turns to, and his power just grows and grows and grows, and I love the way that show that it's almost feels accidental or lucky, and we've seen that in a few different sort of people where it's like there's really nothing specifically special about that person aside from they were the loudest one, right?
Yeah, that I was gonna say because
Right.
they run their mouths.
Yeah. They're the loudest, the most consistently loud, all of that, just yeah, yeah. But it that does happen too. And, people, even just in a small way, people going viral and then they're known for this one thing and they kind of become an authority on it. So, yeah, it's very much kind of that situation.
Yeah, and how quickly something can escalate when fear is involved, right?
Yeah, I mean, big time, big
Well,
time. And I
even when
think
you
we're
were
seeing that now too.
absolutely. And, I'm thinking back to, like, to the COVID time, um, how, do your part, social distance, keep
And then
your
it
neighbors
shifted,
safe,
right? Yeah.
and then it was like, or at least around here, it was like, if I really love myself and I really love my family, then I'm gonna not wear a mask because I care about people, and you're like, "What?" Um Yeah, and I remember a friend of mine, their mother was, like, well, but had, I guess, like, a lung transplant or only had one function, whatever, and the mother was like, "I cannot wear a mask because, I only have 1 lung," and I was like,
Oh my
"You actually
gosh.
need to wear a mask because
Yeah.
you only have 1 lung." I feel like that example really strikes of how different you can really, like,
Look at the same issue.
us and end up entirely different. So, again, this is what this book made me feel like of I didn't feel, like, enraged, it felt like it was more like I was taking a sociology class and
Mhm,
a philosophy class at the same time, plus a social media class of just
mhm.
like, "Damn, this is really how we are as humans," and that sucks because and then it's like you're out here looking for your people, right, of who
Right.
sees it that way, and it's not like I wonder if things were always this divisive, and I guess they had to have been, but maybe it's just more shared because
We see it everywhere now because everyone's
so
recording and sharing
connected.
it, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, you have to think, like, I'm just thinking about the protests of the Vietnam War, and there was war music made, and, things like that. But I don't know. I mean, it feels like from the 80s and 90s of like when we grew up, early 2000s, it feels so fucking polluted now.
No, it does. It really does. But I think, you're right too, because I think, people there have been divisions before, but yeah, I don't know if it's maybe just because stuff like social media is always out there and, people keep engaging with it and those comments kind of live forever and those reels live forever. I don't know if that has something to do with it. I kind of think it does, but
Well, the other thing that I love, to try to be a little more to bring it into some of the more hopeful aspects, obviously they've lost their partners, but Anita and Joshua, they meet each other the first time they hate each other, right? Or at least Anita really hates Joshua. And I love the idea too that these things that seem so negative, or not to put too on the nose there to say negative, but like these things that could be bad bring other parts of community together that never would have if it hadn't been for that at the same time too, right?
yeah. Yeah, because otherwise they would have had no reason to get to know each other. She would have probably always thought he was a dick.
Yeah, so I love that you explore that too.
Yeah, I really wanted to see them, like, not only try to figure out what's causing the negative images and how to get rid of them, but just like kind of eventually building almost a supportive community and trying to, like, help each other, help others later in the book. So,
Mhm. No, that's great too, and I think that the other aspect, when it comes back to the fears of, like, the negative images themselves, it also as they're trying to, figure out why they're being haunted by these people and what they can do about it and stuff, they also are digging into sort of, like, aspects of that person when they were alive that maybe they would have never found out about, and aren't especially pleasant to find out about afterwards, right? And that's another fear that this person that you loved, they're saying that they didn't, that you were doing things that they didn't like, but finding out that they weren't exactly the person you thought they were either.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of it goes both ways, I guess, as far as like, there's a certain, I guess, level of, I would say, betrayal where it's like, the negative image is trying to like pin all this stuff on the person they're haunting. And then, if you dig deeper into their past, you do find, there's stuff on that side too. And that ends up being, I think, a big theme in the book.
One of the other things I really liked that you did was it was kind of like it felt like such a shunning in like within society. And why would you even try to apply for this job? Why would you even show up to work? Why would you come to an office meeting? Because now you're affecting everyone else. And I was thinking about the book that I had recently read, an arc about For Human Use by Sarah G. Pierce. And they're dealing with these essentially dead bodies that they're called lives. And it's like it's kind of flipped on from what you're showing, but it's like they start taking their dead bodies all over around with them. Like the way you carry your phone is
Oh, wow.
what you're doing with your dead body. And they basically are like, "What's wrong with you? Like, don't you believe in rights for everyone? Like, shouldn't dead bodies have the same, respect?" And, kind of like the way the mantra of all lives matter. It's like all
Right.
bodies matter. And this strong propulsion and revulsion of like, against, and it just, uh, it- you know, I found like after recently reading that and then reading this before this podcast, the way that we react as a society to things that are just new and changes, and how we can be angered and just find fault. And previous to that, at the end of the year, I was reading, the book, The Radium Girls, which is the nonfiction book, and these women are getting really sick from the radium, and they're, basically being told from their company, like, "No, it's not that, it's not this," and they're all having, like, different things, but, like, as these court cases start going and they're trying to, like, I mean, they're really, really sick, and, the amount of people that are like, "These girls are just attention seeking," the one girl ends up getting, because it, like, goes all through your bones, but anyway, they they couldn't, like, solve what was wrong, so they said, like, "Oh, she had, like, an STD or something that she died of," like, they made that up.
Gosh, that's
So she was
awful.
just vilified of, like, actually, she was just a whore, and, they're trying to take this poor company down, and it's like, when has a company ever like really been the advocate here. And anyway, it took like years and years and years until you found out that like these girls actually were the victims. And it's like I'm just thinking about like how it could take years and years and years for someone with a negative image for people to actually, like Adam said, they're assuming they're never going to get one. How long would it take for someone to actually say I was wrong? And again, bringing it back to modern day life, how long does it take? How many experiences do you need to have? How many papers do you need to read and stuff of saying, "You know what? I made a mistake. I was wrong."
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of it is like, are people actually gonna say that? But I'm just looking the history and then other books of fiction that are touching on this behavior with human beings to be like, it takes a lot for us to take accountability if it even ever does happen.
No, it really does. It really does. And that arc that you mentioned sounded fascinating. I can't wait to read that.
Yeah.
I think it just came
And
out this week, yeah.
Okay.
I gotta tell you, highly, I feel like with what you wrote, you would really enjoy that. And I think what it started out as being like, is this actually happened? And by the time it was done and just looking again, you put so much thought. It was so perfectly crafted in this book that I think you would appreciate that so much because it's like to think that it would be that acceptable to carry around a dead but the way that it has integrated into society is wild and how they go about it, um, it's incredibly believable. Like, because there's always a source of dead bodies and it starts with surprise, surprise, a billionaire who's like, "Hey, how can we monetize this product?"
Mhm.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's very modern, current day sort of thing. So I would love to hear your thoughts on it then.
Yeah, I would love to read it, yeah. That's gonna go to the top of my TBR list for sure.
It's not super gruesome or anything, but it's just it's like I said, it falls right in line. Like I think we could do a whole post of people that are talking about things like you are right here, where I thought it was very healing, I guess, to just read that book and then read your book to be like, okay, society is really this hard right now. And that's the reason we use horror, right? Is to help heal and to use it as a lens to view things. And it gave me a lot more comfort to realize there's a lot more machines that are going on in the background here. And just anything from what you're showing in your book of creating the list or feeling like you can say these things or that it's not always just an individual that comes up with this idea. We're taught to feel this way, and there's usually some form of either monetary benefit or something to shun others and reject certain ideas or accept them new as they are into society. And I think it's a great lens to view our social experiences that are happening right now.
It's sort of using people's fears, preying on people's fears to gain power, right?
Yes, yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
So
I agree.
this one took you a few years. What's coming up for you next?
Well, I'm editing another book that again, I mean, I started that probably it overlapped with negative images, but I'm hoping to, like, get it out to beta readers hopefully, like, next month, like, early March, and then I'll be shopping that around. But I'm kinda working on, like, a haunted house story, and just kind of like, part, like, haunted house, part, like, family drama where, it's just kind of someone has died and there's this will, and it's kind of weird and, like, how far are you willing to go to get the money?
Mm.
Um,
Ooh,
so just kind of examining, like, family dynamics and stuff like that, along with, like, history, like
Rebecca, sign me up if you want. Years ago, when I took a Spanish class, he played anybody that might have had that in their school. It was called Destinos, and it was all about having a second codicil in the will that was discovered, and like kind of the crazy telenovela that would go around of the shit the family would do. And so, and then I read another book, The Spanish Daughter, who deals with that they didn't expect that there was something in the will. So anyway, I'm down for this trope is my point of figuring out, but I know that the way you are as a writer, you're going to really get into some of the gritty. I'm going to find a character in there. I know that I'm just be like, I hate this person. But at the same time, I see exactly how she wrote them and why they need to be in here. And most of us have some messy family drama and when their parents get sick or die, like, I'm already worried. I already told my parents, "Please
Don't make me.
put your shit together because I don't want any issues with my brothers because I already know it's gonna happen." Like,
Oh,
just
yeah.
because they both have like, "Can you be the executrix?" And I'm like, "Why?"
Oh,
That's so
man.
much work.
But anyway,
That's pressure
it
too.
is, and I
Awful.
mean, when you
And you
already
don't get to
know
grieve the way that you want to when
I
that
said
happens,
that,
yeah.
and, but the point is there is family dynamics. I mean, there's a reason why people talk about how difficult it is at Thanksgiving. Well, you think of now you've got death and dying in a will and how
Mhm.
far you to go to get the money. Like, I know you're gonna just make this delicious.
Oh, thank you. I really hope so. I can tell you it's a little bit of a hot mess when I'm going through right now editing. Hopefully it'll get there sooner than later.
Yeah, that's the
Not another.
part, you just gotta get it out there and then you shape it like clay into what it's gonna be.
No, now you
Um
gotta tell Rebecca actually what Gemma Moore told you.
Oh, yeah, say it. I can't remember.
You
Exactly.
can't polish a turd
Until you shit it out. Yeah. No,
now you're in your polishing phase.
yes,
Yes,
but it's
yes.
out.
But at least it's out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Well, I also wanted to ask, I was just thinking about this, because we've talked about it with a few other authors in terms of, like, when you go to certain places, like, what you do to sort of get yourself out of it. And when you say that, this was something that you worked on for such a long period of time, I feel like, you had to be in a headspace where you were at least making up these things that these negative images were saying to these characters. And it escalates as terms of like how horrible the things that they say and whatnot are, and I can only imagine, like, as you're writing them that, you're trying to get into that headspace. Was there something that, you turned to be like, "Okay, that was heavy. What am I gonna do now? Do you take a walk? Do you, eat some ice cream?" Like, what are your
Um,
go-to things when you're writing something heavy? And it sounds like the one you are now has some of that too,
It's a great
to sort of
question,
get
Adam.
yourself out of that.
Mhm.
yeah, no, that is a really great question. I feel like at different times, it's different things. Like, I wish I could say that it was always exercise, but like, sometimes if I'm writing something and it makes me like very upset, like, I'll go like for a short jog, or something like that, just to kind of like get that anger out. And then, at other times it is the bowl of ice cream for sure. And then sometimes, I'll play video games or just do something like totally different to try to immerse myself in something else. I also have like, a couple of like lighthearted TV shows that I like to watch. They're just comfort shows like The Office or The Golden Girls.
Nice.
I mean, that's the thing though, right? It's really shifting that energy state that you've been in and just really kind of shaking it out, getting out of that character's head and mindset. I'm sure just living in those spaces. So I could see why you're like, you've got to use different tools for different times.
Yeah, I was also wondering, because you said, you took this class and kind of realized like this is a fear that you have. Was there any catharsis to that too? Like, if that was your fear, do you feel like you kind of worked through some of that, through this book that it
Another
doesn't
great
affect you
question.
as much?
I mean, I wish I could say that like it solved everything. I think it made my anxiety make more sense, but I still definitely have some of it. And then I found out like about a year ago that I have ADHD. And so like that also like I think played a big role in this because I think a lot of people who get diagnosed later on in life do have a lot of anxiety with just like masking their ADHD symptoms. And so I think
I hear you.
yeah.
Well, it's definitely that kind of idea. It's like if like I am masking, and if I ever showed people the true me, they would hate me, right? Or like they would think something was wrong. And I'm
That
saying
is
that
your
because
I was like,
I
that is your
100%
personal
feel that
fear.
way. So I feel you on that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could say it wasn't so, but, like, yeah, I don't know. I do think there was at least some amount of, like, catharsis, though, like, getting to the end of the book and at least seeing Anita grow a bit
Yeah.
by the end.
Well, I think, like, I love that you said that it kinda made the fear make more sense, and it's like, okay, you can still be afraid of something, but some of that, like, immediate power is taken away when you're like, "I know why this is happening," right? It's like, so I think that even if it is still there, I think that it sounds like it was helpful, and I felt that way kinda reading it because I think I feel that way sometimes too, and whether you've lost someone and you can't ever talk to them again or, it's someone that is around now, I think that the idea that you have that fear, but then sort of the way that you do this in the book and without, venturing into spoiler territory, it's like whatever you had and that love that you had while that person was alive isn't destroyed by what's happening now that you have that negative image. You can still hold on to those good things and enjoy them and look on them fondly, even though this kind of terrible thing is happening too, right?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of that thing where people say, like both things can be true, even if they're contradictory. And like that's kind of, I guess, something that like I at least kind of struggle at times to accept, especially like, if you're feeling like one side of that coin much stronger than the other. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah, thanks you guys for the therapy session. I didn't expect that one to punch and hit so hard. Like it is though, right? Because sometimes I mean, there's that old adage too that you can't please everyone.
Mm.
No, you can do your, but I find that these are founded fears, and it probably comes from the fact that you are so caring or thoughtful or empathetic. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, the later diagnosed ADHD thing is definitely something I'm going through right now. And Adam and I in April will be, we'll celebrate 20 years of marriage, and I can't ever think of you ever like commenting on my behavior before. And lately with perimenopause, you're just like, "Hey, you are mid sentence. I don't know what you're saying." Or like, "God, you've got to slow down. You keep messing this up." Or like, "What is going on?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, I'm actually looking back and seeing, oh, I did do all these things, but I could control it better.
mhm.
And now I really don't have control over it anymore. I find it, and I've said this in a different podcast before, but it's like the concept that I was always told, like, once you get to your 40s and 50s, stop giving a shit. And I'm like, I actually think that's about perimenopause. I don't know that it's age. I think it's about like you can't anymore. You don't have the ability to mask whether it's ADHD or not, or to people please. I just don't think you have the same levels anymore. And whether that's female or male, but I mean I can only speak from the female perspective. But do you feel like that, Rebecca? That you're just like as the older you get and the more you have the children, and that it's more difficult to just hold on to. Do you care as much is the question.
Like in a social aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's, I still care, but it's like, how much effort can I put towards caring about this today versus something more important? And I do feel like, you know, that has like I definitely like don't care as much. Like it's like, with each kid, as you get busier and as they have their own needs and their activities and you need to be there for them, it's like, yeah, like I don't care about this social thing. I don't care as much about my appearance today. But then there are days when I do. I mean, it just kinda yeah.
I think that it's very freeing, and I think that is the positive thing with the social media is the more I find the people that I am alike with, that I'm like, "You know what? I like being weird. You know what? I like that I get really passionate about what I talk about and excited." And yes, I don't mean to interrupt, and I really am trying harder, and it is worse now, but it's like, it's not because I'm trying to be rude, it's because, like, I'm really interested in this conversation, or I'm really excited to be around you, and it's like, my friends that care about that aren't mad at me for that,
Yeah.
it's like, it's a
Yeah.
shared thing, and I guess I feel like I've been able to relax more, or being like, "Yeah, it is okay that, like, I like bugs and I like gardening and I like to read this and I don't do that." And it's like, there's more and more people I'm realizing like, wow, I have a lot of this in common with. So I think it makes me feel like I have less social isolation, even though I work from home and I want to see less people. And like, you know, and I think that's part of like why this podcast feels so good because it feels like we have social engagement and we're making
Right.
good things, but it's like all from the comfort of the house and in a way that, feels really good. But I love at this age to dissociate into books because it's like living and enjoying myself, but without all the extra like hassle that can come with the full social experience. I just find that my battery tires out a lot faster than it used to.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I feel like I don't know, for me, like, one of the things that, like, I don't know, I wouldn't say trigger, but I don't know how else to describe it, but, like, it's like I have, like, a certain plan for my day, and then it's like if somebody's just like, "Oh, hey, you wanna go do this?" Like, I just get so anxious, like, because I'm like, "Oh gosh, I have to respond to this person. I have to decide if I'm gonna go out. I have to decide what I wear if I'm gonna go out." And it's like, do I wanna do all that or do I just wanna stay put for today? But
So fair though. Like it's a lot of yeah. And have you ever been the person that you say yes to something like 5 days ago and then you're like, "I am not that person today."
no, all the time. All the time. It's terrible. Like, I think that's one of my worst traits.
I know, I really try to think about that now. I'm like, looking at pattern recognition, I'm like, listen, you know that I really love you and I want to be with you, but I'm saying yes right now. But if I don't have if I'm not having a high ADHD day, I need you to not take it personal if I can't like do
Yeah.
this. And we have some friends right now. It's like we're not offended when either one of us has like
Mhm.
or whatever they call it, like the low spoons day.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, thank you. Appreciate that. I feel like I have some friendships right now that we're all on the same page that if we've made plans and then we both I don't know if you've ever heard of that concept of having what they call a low spoons day.
Mm,
It's a whole theory, but it's basically just a battery, especially within ADHD, like you have high, mid, and low days, right? Of just how much dopamine or whatever is in your system. And so we just don't get mad at each other if it's like, hey, we made plans. We both know we wanted to do this, but it is a low spoons day.
Mm,
Cannot do it.
yep.
It's like,
I love that you can do that. I'm jealous. I feel like I'm still kind of more like in the phase where it's like I have to push myself to do it anyway, and that's usually not the best outcome for everybody either, but
it isn't, and then you feel guilty. I think that I'm just at that point where I have to pick myself now, and there are some friends, like and I'm like, "It's actually not personal to you." So I've had to, like, explain, like, I know you don't have ADHD, but I love going to the bookstore with you. Why would I not wanna show up to this? It's like we always have a great time, so if I'm not coming, I need you to understand that
There's a reason,
there's a
yeah.
reason. It isn't personal.
Mhm.
I'm just as sad. But, at the same time, it's like I'm working better to
We're gonna have
position.
such a better time when we do it
Yeah, but I
when it
also feel
makes
like
sense,
it's like
yeah.
also being like, "Can you just come here? Can I come there? And can I stay as sloppy as I wanna be?"
Mhm.
Because it's not that I don't wanna see you, it's that I don't wanna take the shower
Yeah.
and get dressed and
Mhm.
drive out.
Right.
Can we just FaceTime and hang out? Because I don't do either.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely think, like, just the whole, like, having to get ready. For me, it's like my hair, it's like, do I have to wash my hair? If I do, then I'm probably out.
It's so true, it's so true.
Yeah.
Do I
No,
have to put on hard pants?
I love that. Well, that definitely it's a lot of healing, and it kinda brings it full circle because it definitely is, characters in this book that are figuring out who they really are, where they fit, and, what it is that they're going to hold on to as they go forward when these kind of things happen. And so, I really love this book. I am excited to see what you do next. But then also, I think that this is a book that people are going to continue discovering. And when they do, they're going to love it just like we did. So we'll keep singing its praises and we can't wait for this, to come out and hopefully more people pick it up and talk about it too, because I think it's a really special book.
Very special. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much it means to hear you say that just because, and I don't know, like, as a creative person, it's hard to, pursue that and, like, actually, like, go for it. Cause like, I have books that, like, I wrote and I, like, just shelved them because I didn't think they were good enough to go forward with. So, like, this is the first one where I was like, "I'm gonna actually send it out there. I'm gonna see if I can find a publisher for it."
I'm so glad
And
you
so
cared.
thank you. Yeah, and just to hear that it really resonates so much with you guys, like, it truly means the world, and it makes the whole process worth it.
I mean it. Like, if you are someone that suffers with anxiety, if you've read all these comments online and you're like, why is there so much anger and dissension or, just this is a great book for you. I mean, it really is. Plus, it's just kind of overall like creepy.
And yeah, if you're looking for a original take on ghosts too, like ghosts are my favorite. Haunted houses, ghosts in general, and like I'm always looking for something different, and this is definitely it in such a cool way. So
Yeah. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. And Rebecca, keep doing what you're doing. Trust your gut.
yep.
You did a great job.
Thank you. I will. I definitely will. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, have a wonderful night and hopefully we'll have you back on for the next one.
Yeah, I would love that.
Same
Make it
Awesome.
here.
happen.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Bye.